Hello everyone, I am Rex Red and this is EZ3DTV. We are going to have fun today doing another scene. I'm going to be working today with dForce, and we're going to be working in Daz Studio 2025. And just a little bit of kind of work. It's kind of fun stuff. And so without too much introduction, we are going to go into our splash screen and I will be right back. And yes, please like and subscribe. Welcome, people. Welcome. All right, so what I have here is a dilemma. And see, everybody who's invested in the 5090 is dealing with this same dilemma right now. What do we do with our Daz Studio? What Daz Studio do we use? And are we going to be taking this graphics card out, putting this graphics card in, then taking that one out and putting this one, replacing it back and forth? And so, so this is the dilemma. And there doesn't seem to be a real clear answer other than once the beta becomes an alpha, and then there's all kinds of programs that need to be rewritten to work. I'm excited about that happening someday, but it doesn't seem to be in the very near future happening. Okay, so this is the dilemma. What do I do with her dress? Her dress is, you know, it looks okay, kind of like, for some reason, it looks like she's kind of grabbing it and pulling it up a little bit. Let's render this so we can see it a little bigger. And it looks like she's kind of pulling her dress out so that so she doesn't trip. And this scene is called Slip Away. And it's like she's running from heaven. It's like, I can't stand it. It's too boring up here. I'm out of here. All right. So so this is, and it looks like she's kind of pulling her dress up. It looks like there's a heel here. It's almost okay, except for this. Okay, where it's going through the rock. Okay. So what do we do about this? Okay. Well, there are a couple of options. I can bring this into Daz Studio 2020 2.4, I never can remember, 4.24, and I can use the Geometry Sculptor and pull that out and then make a morph. But then there's another kind of issue where her dress looks kind of all crinkled and it just... I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is try a few things and see what we can do. And so what I'm going to do is cancel this, yes. And what we're going to do is we're going to save this file, save as, scene. Now I called it passages at first because I wasn't sure what it was going to be. So we're going to call this passages 1. Oh, let's see if we can get an actual mouse here. All right, PASSAGES 1. All right. Yes. All right, so we have it saved. Now what I'm going to do just one more time, we're going to save it again, and I'm going to actually give this the name that it is. Okay, I might save it twice. I've noticed it takes Daz Studio. That wasn't too fast, too slow. Okay, now save as scene. This is actually called slip away. All right. What I'm going to do is save it as slip away. And then I'm going to save it as slip away 1, just in case I forget the other one called passages. All right, so that's slip away. And we'll save it one more time as slip away 1. Come on, come on. I know you can do it. It's not that hard. Okay, so we're going to do this again. Save as, again, scene. Slip away 1, okay? And that is how you do it. Except, all righty then. So now we can do some experimentation, okay? And the first thing I'm going to do is going to be here in Daz Studio. I'm going to turn off some things I don't need. Her hair seems fine, so I don't think I really need to do dForce. It's just her dress. And so we're going to try a couple of things, okay? So I can always go back and try a different thing, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is turn off the underpass, I think. That's this. All right, where is that? Now it should be gone, but it's not showing. But let's go to texture shaded. Okay, now all we have now are the steps. Now we're going to lock our camera so we don't mess with it, because it seems to be in a good place where I want it to be. Object, lock, all right. Now we can go to perspective view. We'll select our Genesis 9 figure and come over here. I don't know why it didn't get a little closer than that, okay? But as you can see, her dress is cracked. It's cracked. It's about ready to break. Okay, see, from a distance it looked okay, but from here it looks horrible. Horrible. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make an animation, okay? So I'm going to make this animation up to, let's say, how many frames? We'll go 50, all right? So that's our total frames, and let's drag this all the way. So why it's doing that weird thing? Oh, we gotta, okay, leave it there. What's up with this? Okay, let's try to just bring it most of the way. All right, okay, that works. And range is 50, 0 of 49. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start her out. Okay, we're going to raise her up in the air in this first frame. So we're going to move her up, okay, until we get to about, and we're going to leave her up in the air for a while. And then we're going to do this about here, about halfway through. Let's say 25, 24. We're going to bring her back down. Let's add keyframe. And we're going to bring her back down. Okay, like this. Okay, we're going to like that. Okay, maybe a little more. All right. Let's see if this works. All right, now let's go from this. Okay, go Control L. Let's get some light so we can see what we've got. And yes, her dress looks broken. And this may not work because this was a Genesis 8 dress and the weight maps are off. Okay, so, but we're going to try it, and look how bad they are in the back. But let's see what happens when we let dForce try to kind of fix it. So we're now going to go into, we can go back to rewind. No, back to the beginning, and that should put her back up in the air when we click play. That should bring her down. Okay, that seems to be working. Now we go back here to our simulation settings here. We go to simulation, and we're going to go to current frames. We want the animated timeline, and we are going to leave the memorized pose on. So up in the air, she's going to go back to her memorized pose. Then this is all going to hang, and then it's going to go through the sequence. Okay? Let's see how this works. Okay. All right. So we're going to save this. Remember, we have this saved already, is like the old way. So, okay. And I don't think I need to change anything else. All right, so here we go. Let's take our perspective view and let's back up a little bit more so we can see kind of what's happening. All right, simulate. Simulate. No objects to simulate? Are you serious? Oh, and I've got things to do here. All right, all right, so first we have to go back to 0, and we have to turn off her hair. Okay? Because that could cause an issue, all right? And her hand, we could turn off her hands, but I think her hands will be okay. If not, we'll have to stop it. Now the Bella dress, let's go to Object, Geometry, add dForce Dynamic Surface. Now that is weird because I was sure when I picked that dress it said dForce, but maybe not. All right, now what else has she got on that could mess with this? Nothing, it's just the dress. Okay, simulate. Let's see what happens now. So you can see it starts out with an issue. Okay, that was horrible. Okay, so that's just not going to work. Okay, cancel. So what we have to do is we have to reload our slip away. Okay. Cancel. Okay, enough dress. Simulate. Did I cancel it? Okay, what can we clear this? All right. So, all right. We'll just save it anyway as this horrible mess, okay? Now, I think it did all that because of all of this extra detail work that's mixed in, and they're just not set. Now, maybe if I turn these off, then it would let the rest, but it might actually do dForce without even, so I'm not sure, okay? But I was sure this was a dForce dress, but it is not. Okay, so we're not going to be able to do that. So what we have to do is go into the other Daz. Okay, so we're going to load slip away 1. Let's close out of here. Well, no, just slip away. Okay, we got something going on here now, people. This is the workaround. This is what you have to do to make dForce work in 2024. In Daz 2025 is you have to go in and do stuff with your file in 2024. I mean in the 4.24, and then bring it back because you want to render it in your 2025. Okay, so this is the thing. All right, so we're going to have some other stuff we're going to talk about today. So, all right. So we're going to go File, open, new, and that was called Slip Away. All right, and it all should load up. I think I have the scene turned off. It will probably load up with the scene turned off. Slip away, enter, and there it is, slip away. We're lucky that it actually will load files. I don't know how they create that magic where Daz will load things interchangeably through, but not like perfectly. Like you can't load a scene in 2025 that has ultra scenery in it, stuff like that. But it certainly goes the other way around. It's more likely to go from 2025 into 4.24. Okay. Here we go. All right, now this was before I started doing all of the timeline stuff. So what we're going to do is go into Geometry Sculptor and we're going to make this dress look right. And then we're going to save our morph, okay? And once the morph is saved into the dress, then we are going to bring this back into 2025 and apply the morph if we need to. And hopefully it'll work. So now there was one other possibility. I could have taken the dress into Hexagon from the version 2025. Hexagon does work in 2025. All right, so we're going to go to our first we're going to turn off this New York Terrace underpass. Okay, and it still does the same thing here. Look at this. The dress is completely different. It loaded completely different here. Okay, so we go to texture shaded. That is horrific. Okay. And now we have to go to our perspective view, select our Genesis 9 figure, go here. And once again, it doesn't control L, turn the light on. And what is going on with this damn dress? All right, so so this may not work this well at all, okay? So, but why? All right, what is this dress called? It's called Belle Dress. Belle Dress. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the dress off, but let's find it first so we can put it on quickly. All right, default Belle. Maybe there was a Belle Dress 9 for Genesis 9 that I didn't notice. Wouldn't that be nice? And I thought it said that it was for dForce, but could be mistaken. Okay, where's our Belle dress? There it is, okay, for Genesis 8 females. And there's doesn't say anything about dForce, okay? It does have materials, okay. So what I'm going to do is take the dress off. And we're going to put the best dress back on. All right, Genesis 9, 8 female. Let's go to dress, sarong, dress, tight dress, wide dress template. Let's try that. Accept. We'll try a template. Maybe this will work. You know what? It did work. Better Now, what I'm noticing is her hair is under her. We're going to have to fix that, okay? So, but it doesn't quite look as nice as it did. All right, let's look at this in iRay. All right. Okay, there. See, she doesn't look like she's going down the steps like before. She does a little bit. Let's go back to our camera. Well, a little bit. See, what we need to do is pull this area up into her hand, like give it a big tug, and then pull that area down like it looks like she's stepping down, and then we'll have it, okay? So let's go back to our perspective view. All right, let's go back to texture shaded. Why this looks so terrible like this? It just doesn't have a good... What does it look like in filament? Filament. Well, let's see. Come on, it looks just as bad. All right, so let's try, go into our tool settings. Let's select our bell dress. And this is where we've got to get artful. First, I'm going to try to smooth some of these little problems out. Okay. That's not working. Let's get a little closer here. Get a little bit closer now, baby. Okay, okay, this is working. Kinda, sorta, maybe. I'm not sure what all this ragged, jagged stuff is, but it seems to be working. Pulling the seams in. Smooth. Make it smooth. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening here, but all right, we come down here. We need to fix some of that. Smooth. Okay. Then we come in here and smoothen this out. We can smoothen some of that a little bit. This, fix this. Heal it a little bit. It looks like it's pulling it apart, which isn't what we want. But is it almost better than it was? I don't know. We'll have to look at it. Okay. Okay, and then we're going to have to do some grabbing as well. All right. From the side, it just looks like it's fixed. Like we have fixed it. It's hard to say, and it's weird that it's got all these patches here. All right, let's just go through here and fix this. I don't think it's going to let me bring this dress back. This dress is just too volatile. I don't think it's going to let me bring it back into 2025. I may have to render this with my computer. looks like we got the front here now. There's going to be some horrific stuff in the back, but I'm not really seeing it. It looks like there's some kind of like over thing. Over, see, now it's more visible here where there's like an over, something that goes over her dress. And it's hard to really tell. Okay, so what we're going to do now is do some grab stuff. With this, I think that's our grab. Which one's grab? Polygon select. Okay, this is the polygon selection. We take that. All right, polygon selection. Then what we do is we make this a little bit larger. Like quite a bit. Well, that is a lot larger. Okay, oops. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull this up. We got to make it a little bigger. Pull this up like that, like this. And like that. And then we're going to take and make it a little smaller here, like this. We're going to pull this out so it looks like she's got it in her hand. Okay. All right, you can't really tell, but it looks from the front, it's going to look like it. And then this. Pull this out a little bit, like she's stepping out. Okay, and this part here we're going to pull up like it's sitting on the ground. Okay, and this we're going to dip down. Pull this out a little bit. Okay. I'm going to take this, make that a little smaller. We'll go to 20, 22. We're going to pull this out here quite a bit and up. And over. This out here. It's kind of hard to tell what I'm doing. Okay. That's down a little too far. Okay. Let's go back to our camera. Now all this work I've done is it's like subtle and too subtle. Save this. Okay, now we're going to save this as slip away file. Save as slip away to. We do not want to save over our template because I may have to do other stuff here. Okay, now what I'm not seeing, okay, perspective view again. I want to bring, okay, grab. We're going to go back to the grab here. No, that's not what I wanted to do, Z. Okay, thank you. Okay. So it looks like she's pulling this up. Okay. Back to our camera. Okay, we'll go back to iRay. Angus, good evening, dear friend. Good evening. Let's turn back our overpass terrace. Now see, it does look sort of like she's pulling that dress up. And the dress doesn't look too bad. It does look like it's got like a kind of fracture in it. And I might need to smooth that out a little more, but let's go to our full render here. Let's see what our render settings say. 1920, okay. Let's go here. This will render with my CPU. It'll take like forever, but forever. Okay, what does it look like? Okay, it looks like it's working. It does look like there's a fracture going across the front. But that could be this like outer like little veil thing. I'm not sure what it is, but let's go and see what happens if we go back in here a little bit. Take a look at it. I think it's better than it was. So now we go to this tool settings here, and we go to this morph, save current morph. Okay, on the dress. Save. And we're going to call it, okay, save this. Oh, where are we going to save this? General. Actor. Adjustments. All right, let's just try it in Geometry Sculptor. Okay, we're going to call this Bell Dress Morph. Okay. Looks like I could have gone in and smoothed it more. Let's see what this looks like again in texture shaded. Well, okay, yeah, see, it looks like I could come in here possibly, and let's see what happens if we smooth this. Maybe we can make another morph, okay? Smoothing brush. Okay, we got to make this smaller, back to a tiny size. Let's go to 7. Okay. What's up here? Smoothing this out a little bit. Okay. That's all I dare do. Okay. Now we're going to do this. Save it again. Bell, dress, morph, 2. Okay. Now we go back to our camera view. That looks a little better. I can still kind of see it, but yikes. Well, did I not take it? Okay, let's try this again. Try again. Well, that looks good now. I really can barely see that line now. And it looks like it's kind of working. It's working. Okay, so what I want to do is look at my dress. Okay, so we go here to parameters, bell dress. See if this dress, okay, see these are our 2 morphs and they're at 100%. Okay. And all right, this looks like it's working. And it looks like she's going down the stairs. Now let's go back into the perspective view again here. And okay, when we render, it looks like her hair is outside of the dress, but it's not that incredibly outside of the dress. Now let's see. Okay, now let's go to flip curls. Let's see what we have for parameters here. Collar back. Okay, adjust forehead width, jaw, adjust front out. Okay, let's see what happens when we go like this. Front out. Okay, well that's out, but it's not. Pecs out. Okay, from the side, okay, it's just invisible. Okay, you can't see it. Okay, now let's see if there's a turn it on during blow dial. Look at the darn. So the hair is already in front. It's just invisible and it's not showing. It's kind of a pain. Now we go here down to, we select the hair part maybe. The bell, okay, no, we have the hair part selected. And smooth, okay. So I'm going to save this and save this. All right, this is slip away too. Now when I bring this into 2025, well, okay, the thing is, Barbaric Ape, is that should I not update yet? Well, the thing is I would definitely update the, your 4 point, see, because what happens is the Daz 2025 is a whole different program. Like if you look down in my toolbar here, I have 3 Daz's now. Okay, this is what happens when you completely update, okay? And so the answer is yes. Yes, you should update, okay? Because you have your Daz Studio 4.24. This is a lot better. They've added it's snappier when you, I think it's when you, I'm not sure that this got the update with the, but the 4.24 is a very stable version and it has a lot of new features that they've put in. So this is what you get. You get your main Daz updated, then you get Daz 2025, which will work with your graphics card, but it has a slow viewport that they're working on fixing, okay? And then you still have your beta 4.24, which whenever they do and eventually I would say they're going to come out with a beta 2025, okay? So we'll have 4 icons here, okay? We'll probably have the public build, and we'll have the beta, which will be like when they're working on new features and releasing new features, and you can, so we're probably going to have 4 Daz's here, okay? So it doesn't, 2025 doesn't overwrite your Daz, okay? 2025 just is a whole different icon, okay? And the update for your regular Daz brings it up to 4.24, which is much better than the whatever it was, 4.23 or whatever the one before this was. It's just better, okay? So now I'm going to close this down. I would say this is done. This scene is done. I'd like to render it, but I want her kind of in shadow as she's coming down. So I'm not now, I don't have a spotlight in here. What happens if I put oh, I do have a distant light. See, I put a distant light coming straight down, okay? That's where the light is coming from. So, good evening, Top Ramen friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm studying right now on Daz. The algorithm brought me here. Well, thank you, YouTube, for bringing people here. You don't like the green highlight. Yeah, see, I didn't even notice. I turned the highlight off, okay? So I turn off the highlight anyway. There's a way to go in here and turn it off. I think it's up in here. I'm not sure how I turned it off, but there's a way to turn it off, and so it does nothing highlights when I come in. So there is a way to turn it off. So so yes, please leave a like and subscribe to my video. So now what we're going to do is close this down and see if we can bring her, and I think her dress is just going to go completely out of shape. Okay, so it's not going to work. Okay, the morph isn't going to apply right. And Daz 2025 is going to look at this dress and create completely different geometry. And maybe when I load it back into Daz 4.24, it may not then load up right. We'll see. So this is slip away 2. So now we've just created a morph using the Geometry Sculptor. We've created 2 morphs, and we're going to find out if that dress will stabilize when we bring it in. Probably, I don't think it is. I don't think it will. So let's open this up. This is a Daz Alpha 2025. All right, and then I have this public beta as well. So let's now find our, it's called Slip Away 2. Animation is hard, period, with any program. And part of the reason is because, well, it's very hard with Daz because Daz figures are very high quality, okay? File open. Okay, this is Slip Away 2. Well, all right, how about if we go here? All right, Daz renders. All right, let's see if we can just find slip. Away 2. All right, well, it found it. Now, I am not holding my breath that this is going to work. I will be surprised. And the thing is I am very impressed by Daz 2025. It's just, it's not ready yet. And they're giving it to us because a lot of us went out and bought 5090s and we're sitting there saying we'd like to have something to use our 5090s with. And come on, Daz, give us give us 5090 capabilities. Well, they did. It's not ready, but making a series using Daz 3D. I love iRay renders, but the animation, all animation is hard, but animation is particularly hard in Daz Studio, again, because Daz models are so high quality. Now you see this dress looks like it's a mess. So the Daz geometry didn't bring it in right. So now if I go and turn on the sculptor, it might work, but no, it's not. Nothing's going to make this dress work in Daz. Now, even if I take it into Hexagon, it's probably still not going to work. It's just the geometry in Daz 2025 is horrible right now. Let's see. Let's give it a chance, see what it looks like. I will be very surprised if this looks right. Okay, let's get rid of this timeline. I don't need it. Oh my gosh. Look at that. It worked. You see this, that is very hopeful. It does look like there's more of a demarcated line there. It's not as good as, let's go and see if the morphs are here. The new morphs we created with the dress. Oh, we got to select the dress. Bell dress. No, oh, there they are, and they're at 100%. So, it looks terrible. It doesn't look smooth like the other one. Okay, so it did, at least it's not horrible, but it's not right. Okay, take me to my figure here. Yeah, and you see this geometry didn't work right. And there's no smoothing tools, you know, in here. So, and the only thing I can think we could possibly try to take this in, and I don't think this is going to work either, but since these are now parts, we've reshaped the dress, let's try and take it into Hexagon and watch how terrible this works, okay? So we'll send this dress, okay, the dress. We'll just send the dress in to File, send to Hexagon. See if we can smoothen this out. Okay, make this large. All right, bell dress, and we're going to UV paint. Oh, look at this. This is terrible. All right, this would be the displacement tool. And oh my gosh, what's wrong with Hexagon? Okay, can we just smoothen this? No, that's not the right one. Inflate, that's inflate, pinch. Oh, soften. Okay, this is it, soften. This is like really I think this is kind of like a seam here, but I'm not sure, but it's softening it, it's doing the job. Will this work actually though? Okay, so this time I'm going to try to get it so it really works. So we don't have this, so it doesn't look like a seam here. All right. So we go here. This is a morph, morph. Okay, and we fix this up a little bit here. Make that look a little smoother. Okay. Okay, in here. All right. Now this could go in, it could come in and look even worse. Smoothen out these. I know I'm very negative about this, but I've just had so many wardrobe malfunctions. What's Hexagon and what does it do? Well, it allows you to bring these things in and do a little bit of smoothing and then bring it back. And now watch when you see when I close this down. Would you like to send to Daz? Yes. Before closing? Yes. Okay, and then we open Daz back up. And we go here and we click this reverse deformations. Yes. And the name can be Hexagon Morph, accept. Morph was created successfully. Let's see what we've got here. What happens when we turn it on? And look what we have. Nothing. It didn't work. Maybe it's too much. What if we turn it off? Go the opposite. No. So we go, so this is the horrific truth of how this works. It doesn't. It just, there's no way to do this. But, you know, that's the thing, is we just got to wait until, okay, so I can go in here. It's like this morph is no good. It doesn't do it. It looks like it does, and then it, so maybe I just thought of something. Oh, I know what could be wrong here. It could enable smoothing is on. What if we take smoothing off? Look at that. See, all I had to do was take this smoothing off. Okay, so the smoothing was messing it up. So there we go. All right, now we go back to our camera view and we have our scene. So we're going to save this. This is done. Save this scene. Save. I'll save this as slip away too. And she's running from heaven. So, yes, she can't stand it. It's boring. She doesn't like the food. And, yeah. Yeah, and let's see now. And, all right, now let's see. Now let's do a render. So let's go to our render settings. And we go to render settings, general. Let's go to progressive render. That's off. Spectral renders on. Optimization, caustic, sampler. We're going to turn that on. And this. And then let's go. I don't know. I don't think she wants anybody to come after her. So she's holding them slippers tight. She does, and she's not leaving a breadcrumbs either. She doesn't want to be found. Yep. So let's see what we got here. Yep. It looks like we've got something here. I can't really tell what's going on with her hand, but that's okay, because it just looks like she's grabbing her dress. So, yeah, I would say it's like the don't call me, I'll call you. So, but that's an awful lot of stairs to have to get, and to get out of this place. So, yep. So we're going to let this render. Into your settings here. You go right click and you go to the NVIDIA control panel. And this comes up. Hopefully. There it is. Okay, so when you click on Manage 3D Settings, okay, and then you bring in your program settings, and you select Daz Studio out of this list, okay, so this There's global settings and there's program settings. You select Daz Studio out of this list. Be careful what you do in here, okay? Because you can mess things up. So right here, where it says prefer no sysmem fallback, okay? You want to have this selected, all right, if you have a 5090 graphics card. And that will help a little bit with your graphics card and with the viewport. Let me know what your results are, okay? But what this means, okay, at this point, this is the finished render here. And this looks like it's pretty much done. So we go this called slip away. Slip away to save. So yeah, that is how this works. All right, so this is it. So thank you for watching, people. I could just go on about this like for hours and hours about how this needs to be changed. So, but that's what we need. So thank you for watching. Take care. I will see you in the next EZ3DTV tutorial. We now have our scene made, and this is pretty cool. It's called Slip Away. And all right, have a great day. I hope you have enjoyed this. It's 12:21 in the morning. And I will see you in the next EZ3DTV tutorial. So, you have a great time, great day. This is my day off, and I spent my day off doing this, showing y'all how to do this stuff. So, have a great rest of your night, and I will talk with you soon, people. Soon, soon, soon. All right, I'm going to play my, where is it? I'm going to play the splash screen, and then I'll come back and say goodbye. And here I am. I'm back. I'm back. It is me, your humble EZ3DTV tutorial host. So this is going to do it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. How long have we been going? Well, it's 2 hours. All right, so have a great rest of your night, and it was certainly better than playing video games or something. I think talking about the future of computers, maybe we can wake up the industry and get them actually making something that we can use for animation, for Daz 3D, for our viewports, making our viewports powerful, okay? Right now, they're just kind of slugging along. I haven't even tried using my 4090 in Unreal Engine and all of those. That's probably just as bad. So we'll see. All right, take